Your faith is obviously really important to you,
Yeah.
a big part of your life. It's kind of something that, it's kind of one of those taboo things in a way. How does it help you on the court?
Man, I mean, it's like when it comes to being on the court, right? Basketball is what I do.
Yeah.
When it comes to faith in Jesus, it's like who you are. It's who I am.
On Friday, Isaac got attention for choosing not to kneel in unison with his teammates during the national anthem or to wear a Black Lives Matter shirt.
When I look at it as a teammate, I just wish we would do things in unity.
But the thing is, you want to know why. It's really not a good look when you see all your teammates and coaches doing one thing and you're doing another. You know, you kind of look standoffish.
Jonathan Isaac is part of a small group of players in the league who is against the team.
He believes it is your God-given right to decide if taking the team is right.
I want to be great for the reason of my platform growing, to do more for the gospel, to do more for Jesus.
Born in New York, not a lot of people know that. Born in New York, pretty much raised in Naples, Florida, so I rep 239.
I grew up Christian. My dad was super Christian. We were in church all the time. Like it felt like every day. We had to memorize whole Psalms to recite them in church. Church really just became so traditional. And, you know, I didn't understand the lifestyle of it or that God was something that was tangible. And my parents had split up when I was 10, and I ended up in Florida with my mom, with my 4 brothers and 1 sister. And basketball just started to take over my life.
Initially, it was just for fun, but then coaches would come over to me and be like, man, your son is really good. I think that, you know, one day he can really make it. It's like, oh, okay, he's onto something.
When he was younger, he was thin, had big feet, and kind of clumsy like. And I always thought, was his body going to ever catch up with his whole basketball game? And if it does, what kind of player he's going to be?
Growing up, I almost knew, like, if my knees was hurting, my back was hurting, oh man, I'm about to grow again. People are like, John, you're growing still. I'm like, oh, I hate it. Always in pain. It was kind of just yearly. Like my freshman year, I was about 6 foot 6'1". Sophomore year, 6'3", 6'4", junior year, 6'7", senior year, 6'9", and post-grad, 6'10". It was just steady growth. I just kind of learned to like cope with it, keep readjusting to my body. It just opened up another door for me, going to be 6'11", being able to still have guard skills and still handle the ball and stuff like that. So it's been a blessing and a curse.
After Isaac's sophomore year of high school, Jonathan felt he needed more support to develop his game and made the decision to transfer to the International School of Broward.
That was kind of like the moment my mom really trusted in me and said, you know what I'm saying, you want to make this move, you feel like this is what you want to do, then we're going to support you, and she did. Sometimes we had to drive 2 hours in the morning for me to get to school, and 2 hours late at night after practice back to Naples, and wake up the next morning and do it again. So that was just the time of sacrifice, and I took it to heart, and I worked really hard while I was at ISB, and it turned out for the best.
After graduating from ISB in Fort Lauderdale, Jonathan Isaac's basketball journey continued in Bradenton when he chose to go to IMG Academy.
I wasn't ready for college, no doubt about it. Wasn't ready physically or mentally to step into that bigger stage. And it was just, when I'm saying, what do we got to do? What's next? And the next stop was IMG. Coach Mahoney, great dude, great coach. He kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things. And I was coming from ISB where I was the man on that team. Now we go into a different type of offense where it's not just Jonathan Isaac, it's not just get Jonathan the ball. I'm having to do different things and play a different way, and I think it really helped my game.
Now 6'10", Isaac had the attention of traditional basketball powers like Duke, Kentucky, and North Carolina. But the relationship Jonathan had developed with Coach Dennis Gates was strong, and he remained loyal to his commitment to Florida State.
A lot of college coaches, you get to talking about basketball, and I think he knew basketball wasn't the only thing on my mind, and like basketball wasn't the only thing that was important to me, and it wasn't like my life yet. So we would just talk, man, and talk about life. Florida State was the first really big-time school to look at me when I was a junior in high school. And the only other offers I had were Eastern Carolina University and Arkansas State. And I had an absolutely great relationship with the assistant coach, Coach Dennis Gates from Florida State. And after my recruiting was all finished up, finished playing at IMG, I decided to go to Florida State.
Now, I didn't know he would grow to be 6'11", but I did know that he fit the bill with his shooting ability, passing, dribbling, and he had some type of work ethic behind him. Jonathan is a very, very humble guy. I truly believe he's a unicorn. Kids don't come around that often with that ability, but more importantly, that humble effort that he makes to make even from the janitor to the president feel the exact same way. He lights up a room with a smile. He's definitely a hard worker, but more importantly, he's a people person, and it's about relationships, and that's kind of what we built throughout the years.
Another rejection deflected by guess who? Isaac started it and finished it. Isaac throws it up and gets it to go with the left, right in front of a lot of those NBA scouts.
Hey everybody, I'm here with my mom to officially announce that I've decided to enter the 2017 NBA Draft. I'd like to thank my coaches and my teammates for helping me get through a tough season, and to all the fans that support us throughout all the ups and downs. I hope you choose to support me on my journey to the next level. Thank you, and go Noles.
Welcome to the 2017 NBA Draft.
It wasn't me, but I was so nervous. I was overwhelmed with a lot of joy, you know, to see that he got to that point.
In addition to having his mom there on draft day, Jonathan's dad was there as well, an invitation that was a long time in the making.
My dad used to be my world, like my world. I used to sleep with him. He'd pick me up from school all the time, run to him and jump in his arms. It was great. Me and my dad haven't always had the best relationship just because of communication and me being in Naples and him being in New York. And sometimes I've had resentment with him, and Coach Gates has been that steady speaker, like you need a relationship with your father. You need to reach out even when you maybe he doesn't reach out sometimes. He's a super spiritual and goes to church all the time, loves God. He's like that spiritual guy like up there for me. So whenever I have anything, I'm struggling spiritually, I need to talk about something, need somebody I'll talk to.
With the 6th pick in the 2017 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select Jonathan Isaac from Florida State University.
That'll be a pretty short move for Jonathan.
It wasn't so much like being nervous, I was just so amped up. Like I'm like, this game is here, you know what I'm saying? I'm ready to play. I got back from my shooting routine. I just put on my warm up to stay warm. And I put everything else on. and my jersey's still hanging up. I ain't even thought about it. And we do our, you know what I'm saying, our film and stuff before the game. We like, let's go. And I just went out there and didn't even think about putting it on.
My boy nervous. It's all good. Hang in there. We got you.
And I'm sitting on the bench and Biz, I didn't even know he recorded it at all. I didn't know till I hit Twitter. Yeah, it's just fun, man. It's a great rookie memory to have.
Diagonal to Isaac. Pretty left-handed finish by the Magic rookie. Jonathan Isaac with the ball fake and the 18-footer that's good.
So it's getting around November. We're rolling into the season. Played a couple preseason games and a couple regular season games. And a teammate of mine asked me if I wanted to come to chapel. And so I go to chapel, and the chaplain, Kevin here, our chaplain for Orlando Magic, says, okay, I want to start with this verse. And the verse that he said was Luke 6:46. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I say? And I started to think about that a lot, and it was kind of one of those verses that I say like now, like it like kind of stops you in your tracks and it makes you really think. And I thought about it all the time. Thought about it when I was ready to go to bed. Thought about it when I woke up. Why do you say Lord, Lord, and not do what I say? It wasn't something that was superficial for me, or wasn't even just the verse. The verse really just started it off. The verse really just got the wheels turning. But what I did after the verse was to really take it seriously and say, I don't want to be an imposter. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I would rather just get rid of the Christian thing as a whole. Get rid of calling myself a Christian as a whole, rather than to call myself a Christian and say Lord, Lord, and not do what he says. I would rather just do me. I had this picture in my mind, even through college and high school, of like what a man was. And it was like somebody obviously who had money, who had his choice of women, who had the stuff. And then once I was able to attain those things, I quickly figured out that it wasn't all that they were chunked up to me. And I found myself a lot of the time just wrestling with who are you? You're either doing this or doing that to please the people around you, or to have yourself come off a certain way. I just wasn't happy. And then one day I was stopped by me in an elevator, and he said to me, he said, I know what's going to make you great. And I said, what? He said, you got to know Jesus. And I was like, man, I know Jesus. I began to just see this man all the time. We began to hang out, and he taught me the love of God, like love, like how love is not when you're good. That real love is when things aren't going right. Like real faith isn't when everything is good. It's when things are bad. If you can believe then, or if you can love then, that's true love, and that's godly love. And I started to figure out that God loves me for me. God doesn't love Jonathan for NBA Jonathan, or what Jonathan does on the court, or what Jonathan does that's impressive. God loves Jonathan for the jacked up, hypocritical, just crazy Jonathan. And I began to fall in love with God.
We want to bring Jonathan along at the right tempo, and we feel that the group we have around him will allow him to grow the right way. We expect great things of Jonathan, but our mantra has been, be our hardest worker, don't be our best player. The rest will take care of itself.
Him off that time. Throws a dart into, rejected by Isaac.
It's going to come down basically just to how much does he want it. Does he want to be great? If he wants to be great and is willing to work so, I think he has potential to be that.
What a pretty play on the inbounds pass to Jonathan Isaac.
Every day I have a moment where I'm just like, I'm here, like this is my job now, this is what I'm supposed to do. Look at my circumstances and look at where I'm at in life and be grateful for it.
Isaac with the steal. Nice lob ahead to Mackey. Oh! What a pass by Moore. Jonathan Isaac puts the Magic on top.
Jonathan's a mix of a lot of things. He's a nervous rookie, and he's a guy with wisdom beyond his years on the basketball court, and he's a very bright kid. So I think it's a good mixture. We're very excited about what he will become as time unfolds for him.
step, but a block by Isaac. Lobs it beautifully to Isaac.
Isaac, big shot.
Jonathan Isaac with a block shot. Blocked by Isaac. Lost it. Isaac stays in the air just long enough to stuff it in. Great catch. Great finish. Fournier hustling. Isaac on the deck. Saves it to Fournier. Missed for three. Stuffed in by Jonathan Isaac.
Bradley Beal is back in there as a guard with Isaiah Thomas and Sawundu and Jonathan Isaac up front. The officials, Courtney Kirkland, Matt Mullen, and Jason Gobble. And the tip is controlled here by the Wizards. Vucevic, a very good passing big man. Isaac missed the first, had a block partially.
Dad is the glove, but he's the mitten to me.
Isaac took it right away from Beal, and now a foul against Beal.
Twisted that leg as he tried to step through the middle. So Isaac is down and still in pain.
Isaac goes down with a knee injury early. Looks like it hurts. That was very awkward. Take another look, or maybe you don't want to take another look. It just kind of twists. Woo! They had to stretch him off the court. Very sad.
And the Magic's terrific young talent and an even better human being, Jonathan Isaac, is headed back to the locker room. A man of great faith. And I'm sure he's leaning very heavily on that faith right now, as are Magic fans.
Welcome to Orlando, where the NBA restart is already underway. The waiting over starting last night as these NBA players ready to once again showcase their talents. But in these times, showcase their talents to all the fans who are back home. Fans have been craving to see their stars. But for many of these players, the NBA bubble is about more than just basketball. It's an opportunity to use their voices, their platforms, to continue the dialogue, to enlighten, to educate, most importantly, to ignite change. Right now, it's a league united in its fight for social justice, in its fight to defeat racism.
And great news for Magic fans, Jonathan Isaac will be back out on the court.
I'm very glad that kneeling like that is a safe place now to say Black Lives Matter.
I want to commend and applaud the NBA as a whole for recognizing the power in the platform.
Oh, so can you see by the dawn's early light, or the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
So players locked in arms there in solidarity, taking a knee, team staff, even the officials, some players raising their fist in the air. Jonathan Isaac.
Locked in, ready to go.
And basketball is back.
Isaac with a nice cut and the foul. That will put J.I. on the line.
Great feel right there, David. Markelle Fultz on the drive.
Birch flashing into the middle. Isaac fighting for the rebound. Count the basket and the foul. And Fultz with the steal over the head pass to Isaac. Jonathan Isaac from Markelle Fultz.
Off the dribble, 2 hard dribbles.
Isaac for 3. Good again.
Brooklyn back in action, but they fall to Orlando.
On Friday, Isaac got attention for choosing not to kneel in unison with his teammates during the national anthem or to wear a Black Lives Matter shirt.
I always said this time and time again, even on this show, that you can't tell someone how to fight the fight. Long as they're fighting the same fight you are, you can't tell a person how to make a stance. But the thing is, you want to know why. It's really not a good look when you see all your teammates and coaches doing one thing and you're doing another. You kind of look standoffish.
When I look at it as a teammate, I just wish we would do things in unity. And I'm sure they had this discussion before it all went down, but as a teammate, I just wish we can always do things in unity. It's almost like when you come to that huddle and we all used to put our fists in, if it was that one guy standing out, I'd be like, come on, bring it in.
So you didn't kneel during the anthem, but you also didn't wear a Black Lives Matter shirt. Do you believe that Black Lives Matter?
Absolutely. I believe that Black Lives Matter. A lot went into my decision, and part of it is, first off, is my thought that kneeling or wearing a Black Lives Matter T-shirt don't go hand in hand with supporting Black lives. I do believe that Black Lives Matter, but I just felt like it was a decision that I had to make, and I believe that for myself, my life has been supported through the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that everyone is made in the image of God, and that we all fall short of God's glory, and that each and every one of us, each and every day, do things that we shouldn't do. We say things that we shouldn't say. We hate and we dislike people that we shouldn't hate and dislike. And sometimes it gets into a point where we point fingers about whose evil is worse, and sometimes it comes down to simply whose evil is most visible. So I felt like I wanted to just take a stand on it. I feel like we all make mistakes, but I think that the gospel of Jesus Christ is that there's grace for us, and that Jesus came and died for our sins, and that if we all will come to an understanding of that and understand that God wants to have a relationship with us, that we can get past skin color, we can get past all the things in our world that are messed up, jacked up.
While he faced heavy criticism, he was also overwhelmed with countless messages of support from total strangers, sending his Magic jersey to the second most popular in the NBA.
Skip, I'm not surprised by this because a lot of people see him as the symbol, as those that don't believe the player should be kneeling during the anthem. He's become the symbol of a group of people that oh yeah, he's not kneeling? Yeah, that's my guy. I'm gonna go get his jersey. We saw the same thing, Skip, when Colin Kaepernick, remember when Colin Kaepernick, his jersey skyrocketed because there were a lot of people that believed, like, man, he's right. Let me go get Cap's jersey. The only difference between Jonathan Isaacs and Colin Kaepernick, he won't lose his career. Cap lost his career.
I'm not a fan of cancel culture in any way, shape, or form. I pride myself on being a free thinker. And I feel like it'd be hypocritical if I'm somebody that says, I appreciate Colin Kaepernick taking a peaceful protest before a football game, if I have a problem with Jonathan Isaac using his right to stand during the national anthem.
My only anger is, Skip, is that when they use the Bible, and you know how I feel about that, because people have been using the Bible for thousands and thousands of years to oppress people, and they use it under the guise of religion.
Did some religious fans buy the jersey simply because that's really
a strong statement to make for not only just Christians, but any believers, to say, there's a religious man, he's actually an recently ordained minister at age 22, who stood up for what he believed, that you kneel only before God, okay? He said, I believe that Black Lives Matter, but his point was a point that has rubbed you the wrong way. He said, the gospel says, the Bible, the New Testament says, all lives matter.
Skip, if that was true, Jonathan, we wouldn't even be here. If all lives matter, we wouldn't be here. But does he understand, Skip, that Jesus would lower himself? He would wash people's feet. That should be beneath. But he saw himself when people were ailing. He would lend a hand. He didn't say, well, nah, all people. Skip, come on, man. Look, you do you. But when you use the guise of the Bible, when the Bible have been used for thousands and thousands of years to oppress people, to keep people apart. Skip, it was before his time. But they said blacks and white was not meant to be together. And they used the Bible. That's what they used, Skip.
Yep.
So that's the problem that I have, is that he using, and I hate because people cherry pick. Where they cherry pick? They'll take one passage and try to paint the whole thing. You see what it said in the Bible? But he said, yeah, thou should not kill, thou should not steal, thou should not commit adultery, thou should not bear false witness. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Skip, if we love thy neighbor as thyself, would we even be here? Would we even need Black Lives Matter? If all lives matter.
All I know is that something is going on here, something fairly significant, because his jersey is selling second only to LeBron.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I decided not to kneel or wear the Black Lives Matter t-shirt, first and foremost, because I understood that everybody is about solutions. And we all see what's going on in our country. We all see what's going on in our nation today. Not just racism, but everything that plagues our society with murder. I can go down the list of everything that plagues our society. So I'm about solutions. And when I saw people taking the decision to kneel, I thought the best decision and the best solution is the gospel of Jesus Christ, because that's how my life has been supported. That's how I've seen countless lives be changed, supported, changed for the better when it comes to situations like racism, when it comes to anything, realizing and understanding that we're all made in the image of God is the answer. And that's the solution that I went with. We all fall short of God's glory, and that at the end of the day, whoever will humble themselves and seek God and repent of their sins, that we could see it in a different light, see our mistakes, see people's mistakes in a different light, see people's evil in a different light, and that's just how I feel.
$129-120 setback against San Antonio on Friday. A big game for both ball clubs. So Isaac checks in. He had 16 points on the floor. Ross rifles in another.
Ross, a little comfortable on that one, David.
He's a 28% three-point shooter. Isaac stepping around the defender. Jonathan Isaac.
All their growing pains, got a lot of opportunity to play.
Isaac. Grabs his left knee. In a lot of pain. Jonathan Isaac coming off a left knee injury. Suffered on January the 1st at Washington. And he is in a lot of pain. Let's get a quick look. Stepping through the middle, and you see that left knee, that leg kind of buckle a little bit, even though it's wrapped up and braced. We're saying a prayer for Jonathan Isaac. Everybody knows how hard he's worked to get back where he is right now.
He went down on the play and injured his knee. Now, a little bit of context for that. He was hurt earlier in the year before the season was put on pause when the virus popped. And ever since that time, he had been rehabbing to try and come back and play again this year. And I think he might have injured that same knee, but he had already been hurt earlier in the year. And of course, the same people that came out and attacked this man for kneeling to begin with, then came out and said, that's what you get. The ancestors are smiling upon the situation. You ain't want to take a knee. That's why he took your knee away from you. God did it, all this, that, and the third. And it wasn't just your regular trolls and normies on the internet that don't really matter at all. You had ESPN, a guy that works for them by the name of Dan Le Batard, came out and put a poll on his show account talking about, isn't it funny that the guy that didn't want to kneel gets his knee hurt? Oh yeah, they put it out there and it was getting people to vote on it and everything.
I do want to say, I got a lot of tweets from people saying that this was karma, and that's just a really nasty way. That is not what sports is about. I implore you all to have some decency. That is disgusting to me, and I hope to God that Jonathan Isaac can recover quickly and that this isn't as serious as it looked.
Jonathan, what's been the most difficult part of the rehab process?
The most difficult part, honestly, just having to watch my guys on the floor. You know, I like the work. I like, you know, getting in and grinding every day. You know, I think most people would think that that's the hardest part, but you know, I take it like I'm out there playing on the court when I'm doing my rehab. This is my game right now. I have a weightlifting session that takes a while, and then I got onto the court to get some shots up. It's a grind. I love it. I love watching myself get better and get stronger. But, you know, it is meticulous, and, you know, one exercise doesn't wrap up everything that you need to get better. So it's coupled with a lot of different exercises and a lot of different things to have a successful rehab.
I've experienced what it is to have a relationship with God, to have a relationship with Jesus, right? To have my heart changed, knowing the things that I've done in the past to what I'm doing now. I've experienced that. And so it's almost like I've experienced the answer. I've experienced the truth of God's word. I've experienced the truth of walking with God and being submitted to God, and how I've seen, as a minister now, lives changed, black, white, and different. I've seen God invade the hearts of men and change them like you would never believe.
I know, I'm assuming, of course, you've gotten backlash. How do you kind of feel about that backlash? Like, does it bother you a lot, or how do you kind of deal with it if it does?
Well, honestly, bro, I expected it. I expected it. I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew, like you said, there was an immense amount of pressure in it. So to go through with going, I guess, against the grain, there was going to be pushback. And so I just trusted God. I tried my best to, you know, steer clear of it, not see it, but I trust God. I like I said, I believe in what I stood for. I believe that Jesus is the answer for our problems in our world. And a lot of the things that we face today, we wouldn't be if we originally made the decision to follow Christ. So that's where I'm at. I knew it was coming, and I just to push on ahead. So I'm a part of a church called Jump Ministries Global Church in Orlando. 2.5 years now. The pastor is Dr. Jerron Hepburn. He's like my mentor, my God. My spiritual father, who has helped me grow in so many ways on this Christian journey. So that's where I do ministry. I'm an ordained minister there. Me and my fiance that's watching are ministers of evangelism there. I met my now fiance at the church.
That's dope. That's dope, man. Yeah, congrats, man.
The NBA season tips off this month, and the association is making mandates as we are obviously still amidst a global pandemic. Unvaccinated NBA players in New York City and San Francisco will not be paid for missed games resulting from local COVID-19 vaccine mandates that prevent them from playing. So the announcement came one day after the NBA made clear its preference to employ a vaccine mandate for its players, pointing to the Players Union as the roadblock to securing 100% vaccination for its members. This could cost unvaccinated players on the New York Knicks, Brooklyn Nets, Golden State Warriors significant salary, like Kyrie Irving and Andrew Wiggins.
Washington Wizards star Bradley Beal says he is not vaccinated and has no interest in getting that shot.
He feels that, what if all of a sudden I get vaccinated and now my right arm doesn't work and I can't shoot anymore? Who am I going to sue? Who's responsible for that? And he feels like he needs more information before he gets the vaccine.
This is a war that we're involved in. I think they should be disciplined. I don't think that they are behaving like good teammates or good citizens.
Every player, every person in this world is going to make their own decision for themselves. I would like an explanation to, people with vaccines, why are they still getting
Back is definitely, against the wall. I'm just gonna keep fighting for what I believe and what I believe is right.
This is my life. I get to do whatever I want with this. This is one body that I get here, one God body that I get here. And you telling me what to do with my body, and it has nothing to do with the organization. I'm gonna put that out there. It has nothing to do with the Nets. It has nothing to do with my teammates. This has everything to do with what's going on in our world, and I'm being grouped in to something that's bigger than just a game of basketball. And you got that fandom, which is like a religion to people out here. Basketball is like a religion. Entertainment is like a religion to people. They get so caught up emotionally. It's just like, yo, effing get or just leave. We angry at what you're doing, man. And it's just like, nah, that's like, what are you talking about? I'm a human being. I have emotions. I have feelings. I have thoughts. But I'm staying grounded in what I believe in.
For some players, if they are adamant enough that maybe they need more time to come to a conclusion, I find to be respectable, because Kyrie can lose 52% of his salary, $18 million for the 2 games he plays against the Knicks and here in Brooklyn, but Kyrie can then go play in Golden State. Andrew Wiggins has to lose 50% of his salary, but can come here in New York and play here with no repercussions. Or Bradley Beal, who decides maybe he doesn't want to get vaccinated, Stephen A., will make his full salary in $37 million and will not lose anything.
There's a lot of governing bodies involved in
That's
this
my
one,
point.
beyond
Let
the
me
NBA.
respond to that.
Sure.
Get the hell over it. I'm saying get the hell over it. I stand with the NBA. This is business.
Well, the NBA season is starting up soon, and one Orlando Magic player is making national headlines.
Jonathan Isaac is part of a small group of players in the league who is against the vaccine.
With 90% of NBA players fully vaccinated, there's still a small number holding out. Orlando Magic forward Jonathan Isaac revealed in a Rolling Stone article that he hasn't gotten the shot and doesn't plan on it. The NBA isn't requiring players to get the vaccine, but they are pushing for it. Unvaccinated players will have lockers far away from vaccinated players. They'll also be forced to eat, fly, and ride buses in different sections than their vaccinated teammates, according to ESPN. Isaac tweeted on Sunday saying in part that he believes it is your God-given right to decide if taking the vaccine is right.
I would start by saying that I was pretty badly misrepresented in the Rolling Stone article. I'm not anti-vax. I'm not anti-medicine. I'm not anti-science. I didn't come to my current vaccination status by studying Black history or watching Donald Trump press conferences. I have nothing but the utmost respect for every healthcare worker and person in Orlando and all across the world that have worked tirelessly to keep us safe. I thank God, I'm grateful that I live in a society where things are possible and we can protect ourselves and have the means to protect ourselves in the first place. But with that being said, it is my belief that the status of every person should be their own choice and completely up to them without bullying, without being pressured, or without being forced into doing so. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm uncomfortable with taking the vaccine at this time. I think that we're all different. We all come from different places. We've all had different experiences and hold dear to different beliefs. And what it is that you do with your body when it comes to putting medicine in there should be your choice, free of the ridicule and the opinion of others.
You're making headlines. The Rolling Stone wrote an article and included you talking about, your so-called anti-vax stance. They accuse you of being an anti-vaxxer.
There's the verses in the Bible where Jesus is talking about the Pharisees, and he's like, you can discern the weather, you can discern these natural things, but you can't discern the signs of the times. And I think that's so, needed right now. Just in the conversation of just the church and just Christian people, where it's like, listen, no one is saying that the is wrong. No one is saying that the is deadly or anything, even though there is a chance of adverse effects.
There is.
Even that conversation is not really being had, where people in this country who have died, people who have come away with different ailments because of taking the vaccine. But I really do think that this is a time for spiritual discernment, to look at what's happening, to look at the precedent that's being set. And as this thing snowballs, and as there aren't people, Christians or non-Christians, to step up and say, you know what, this is not right, it sets a precedent for in the future, we're going to look up and say, well, what about my religious freedom? And there won't be any. And that's not to preach a glooming message, because at the end of the day, Jesus is in control. Jesus is sovereign, and I completely believe that.
I know you're a deeply religious person, a man of faith. How much, if at all, did that play into this decision, or your thinking at all?
When it comes to being religious, I think God calls us all to be wise. I think there are people who believe that Jesus is alive, that he's a protector, that he's a healer, that he's a friend that you can trust in before you trust in any man. And I'm not ashamed to say I'm one of those people. But at the end of the day, God calls us to be wise and lean to our own convictions on what it is that we want to do. And that's how I feel about the everyone should be free to make their own decision and choice. And I feel that God could be leading two different people in the same place in two completely different directions. And if their conviction is, as a believer or as any faith, that I decide to take the and then I'll stand with them. And if there's anyone who says, based on my belief or my conviction, I don't want to take it, I will be right there to stand with that person as well.
There's a saying that says God does not call the equipped, that he equips the called. And I think that is something that's really needed to be said in this time. And that God's strength is found in our weakness. God doesn't need us. God didn't need Moses to be perfect. Moses just needed God to be God. My decision to stand in the bubble. But when it happened, everyone was so, Jonathan is so courageous, Jonathan is so this. And even though there was a lot of negativity that came about it too, but the people who agree with me, that's what they were saying. You're so bold, you're so courageous. And I'm saying, man, you don't know the half of the story of where I come from, the things that I've had to allow God to work out of me, to work in me, to deal with me on. And it takes people through the journey of where I was to how I came to faith. And faith has been the thing that has caused me to be able to speak, has caused me to be able to stand, because I know God for myself. I know that he loves me. I know that he's called me. I know that my faith, my salvation, my confidence, my boldness, my trust is all in him. And he's the only one that I'm trying to please. In this time, we're going to have to stand on what we believe, whether you're a Christian or not. There will come a time, the Bible says, choose ye today whom you will serve. There will become a time where you have to stand on what it is that you believe, and you're going to have to know Jesus for yourself, or you will be swayed.
What would your encouragement be for people who maybe don't have the platform that you do, who want to be able to relay, though, the same message and be as bold as you are, but they're scared or they just don't know what to do? Do you have any encouragement for them?
I would say to hold the line. I know that may be a dramatic wording, but I really do think we're at a point in time where, like a pivotal time in history, where more than just we're talking about a but more than that, I believe that this government is setting a precedent that in light of any emergency, that your personal autonomy, your God-given convictions, your religious freedom, and ultimately your freedom as a whole is then up to negotiation. And I would just say that at this point in time, it is going to take courage. It is going to take boldness to stand up for what it is that you believe in, to say it proudly and to say it loudly. And so I would just say to trust your convictions, to trust who you are and the decision that you're making, and try your best to relay that in the best way.
You do kind of tend to go viral. Have you always been someone who is able to communicate what you're thinking well?
Not at all. Not
really?
At all. And to hear, I'm so serious, to hear everyone like, oh, he's so articulate, he's so this and that. I'm like, yo, you guys have no idea who you're talking about.
Nice find, Isaac, the tomahawk jam.
really used to struggle terribly with anxiety and fear and just self-consciousness, and God has been steady working on me and my heart to just find my boldness, my trust, my confidence, all in Him. At the end of the day, what's going on right now, it proves without a doubt that your trust, that your hope, that your identity, that your heart has to be somewhere that is greater than man. Because at the end of the day, this is man that is carrying out these delegations or these regulations or these rules, whatever. But Jesus said, even though you will have trouble in the world, be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world already. And so I would just plead with people to find your trust in Jesus. Find your trust in something that is greater than man, and what is more greater than man than God Himself. So I would just say, stay encouraged. It may feel like hopelessness, but there are people who are out here that are trying their best to hold the line. And I believe that we're going to see great revival through this as well. As people begin to eyes be opened, they're going to be looking for salvation. They're going to be looking for help. They're going to be looking for the person that's going to stand by them. And so as Christians, be that person. Be somebody who is going to stand on faith, that is going to be the light in this dark world that is only getting darker. And so I would say, keep on keeping on. Keep the faith. Just live by faith and not by sight. So just be encouraged. Be of good cheer. Jesus got us.
Jesus! 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 Jesus!
Yo, I know some people with a fear of dying. Other people with a fear of flying. In the street, they probably run down on you. Put the 4 pound on you, now you crying cause you fear the iron. No kids in fear of losing their mother. Heard 2 lovers jealous in fear of losing each other. Saw a struggling brother in fear of losing his gig. Said if he did, he'd probably just go put 2 in his head. He said his fears that his kids wouldn't have nowhere to live. Had to stop him like, what they gonna do if you're dead, huh? Now embrace the gravity of what you said. The moment of stress got you talking like you lost your head. That fear, hey man, that's a killer. Out of its proper context, it's pure and utter nonsense. As a response to anything but the Father is bondage. But there's a freedom that exists and I know where to find it. A prophecy that's timeless, if I'm completely honest. Not even Aristotle could deny this type of knowledge. There's a hollow part of man that can only be filled by the Elohim. Then it's good nightmare and hello dreams. I speak a prayer for the newly redeemed, who testify that the power only lies in the supreme. Fear is a puppeteer that rears your pedal strings. Out here where the shells fly, kids die when the metal screams.
Your tears leave blood stains on the pavement. Your healthy